They found his skin, hanging in a temple, 300 years after he died, red, preserved, stuffed with straw to keep the shape of a human body, dangling from the ceiling like a banner, like a hunting trophy. It was Emperor Valerian, ruler of Rome, commander of 70,000 soldiers, a living god, and the Persians turned him into a decoration. But here's what's terrifying. We don't know how he died. Ancient sources give 3 different stories, and they're all horrific. Story 1. The Persian king used him as a footstool for years, made him get on his hands and knees, stepped on his back to mount horses, in front of crowds, in front of other Roman prisoners forced to watch their emperor crawling like an animal. Story 2. They forced his mouth open, poured molten gold down his throat, burning him from the inside out. The richest metal for the greediest empire. He died choking on liquid fire. Story 3. They flayed him alive, peeled his skin off in strips while he was still conscious, still breathing, still screaming. And when he finally died, they kept the skin. Which story is true? We don't know. Rome destroyed the records, erased him from history, pretended he never existed. Because what happened to him was so shameful, so degrading, so impossible to accept, that they couldn't let people know. An emperor doesn't get captured. A god doesn't become a prisoner. And Rome's most powerful ruler definitely doesn't end up as wall decoration in an enemy temple for 3 centuries. But Valerian did. His skin hung there until the temple crumbled. Roman diplomats visiting Persia generations later saw it, reported back in horror. That crimson figure, still hanging, still on display. This is the story Rome tried to bury. The emperor who marched into Persia with an army and never came back. This is the mystery of what really happened to him. The 3 theories of his death, and the nightmare that came after. This is Emperor Valerian, the man who vanished and became a Persian trophy, 260 AD. Emperor Valerian is 60 years old. He's ruled Rome for 7 years, experienced, capable, respected. This is not some young, reckless emperor looking for glory. This is a seasoned leader who understands warfare. But Rome has a problem. The Sassanid Persian Empire is rising in the east, aggressive, expanding, led by King Shapur I, a brilliant military strategist who's been raiding Roman territories, taking cities, killing Roman citizens, humiliating Rome at every turn. Valerian decides enough is enough. He's going to personally lead a campaign into Persia, crush them once and for all, end the threat permanently, show the world that Rome still rules. He assembles 70,000 soldiers, one of the largest Roman armies ever fielded, elite legionaries who fought across the empire, experienced officers, the best weapons, the best armor, the best training, an unstoppable force. They march east, into Mesopotamia, into Persian territory, confident, powerful, ready for war. Everything goes wrong. The Romans reach a city called Edessa, in modern-day Turkey. Shapur's Persian army is waiting. The battle begins, and it's a complete disaster. The Persians outmaneuver the Romans, cut off their supply lines. Disease spreads through the Roman camp. Plague. Soldiers dying not from combat but from sickness. Morale collapsing. The army falling apart. Valerian realizes he's trapped, surrounded. His 70,000-man army is being destroyed, not by superior tactics, not by better warriors, by disease and desperation. He tries to negotiate, sends envoys to King Shapur asking for peace terms. Shapur agrees to meet, to discuss surrender, to find a solution. It's a trap. When Valerian arrives for the negotiation, Persian soldiers surround him, grab him, bind his hands, the Emperor of Rome, captured, alive, the first and only Roman emperor ever taken prisoner in battle. Shapur stands there, watching, smiling. He's just done the impossible, captured a Roman god. And now he's going to make sure everyone knows it. Valerian is dragged away, into Persia, into captivity. His army scattered, his officers dead or enslaved, his empire in shock. Rome will never see their emperor again. This is where history gets murky, where the sources contradict each other, where Rome and Persia tell completely different stories, and where we enter a nightmare that may have lasted years. We know Valerian was taken to the Persian capital. We know he was alive, a prisoner. But what happened next? That's where the mystery begins. Because ancient writers give us 3 different accounts, 3 different deaths, 3 different horrors, and we don't know which one is true, or if maybe all 3 happened in sequence. Theory 1, the living footstool. Multiple Roman historians write about this. Valerian wasn't immediately executed. Instead, Shapur kept him alive for years, used him as a public humiliation tool. Every time the Persian king wanted to mount his horse, he would summon the Roman emperor, make him get on his hands and knees, in the courtyard, in front of the Persian nobility, in front of Roman prisoners of war forced to watch. Shapur would step on Valerian's back, use him as a literal footstool, a step, then climb onto his horse while the Emperor of Rome stayed on the ground, on all fours, like an animal. The sources say this happened regularly, daily, for years. That Valerian lived in captivity performing this ritual humiliation, the most powerful man in the Roman world reduced to furniture, a living reminder of Persian superiority. Imagine it, being 70 years old, having ruled an empire, commanded armies, been worshipped as a god, and now you're crawling on stone floors while an enemy king steps on your spine, while your own soldiers watch, unable to help, unable to look away. Some writers claim Valerian lived like this until he died of old age, broken, humiliated, but alive. Theory 2, the molten gold execution. Other sources tell a different story, a quicker death, but more symbolic. According to these accounts, Shapur offered to ransom Valerian back to Rome, but he demanded an impossible price. Rome refused, or couldn't pay. So, Shapur decided to send a message instead. He had his executioners heat gold until it liquefied, molten, glowing orange, burning at over 1,000 degrees. Then they grabbed Valerian, forced his mouth open, and poured the liquid metal down his throat. The symbolism is brutal. Rome is greedy. Rome values gold above all else. Fine. Drink it. Choke on it. Die with the thing you worship most burning through your body. The sources say Valerian died instantly, his internal organs seared, his screams cut short as the gold filled his lungs. An execution designed not just to kill, but to make a statement. Rome wants gold? Here's your gold. Theory 3, the flaying. This is the most horrific account, and the one that might explain the skin trophy. Some ancient writers claim that after Valerian died, either from years of humiliation or from the gold execution, Shapur wasn't done. He wanted a permanent memorial, a lasting trophy. So he had the body flayed, skinned, the entire surface of Valerian's skin removed in one piece, carefully, methodically, preserving it intact. But other sources suggest something even darker, that the flaying happened while Valerian was still alive, that this was the execution method, that he was skinned slowly, consciously, able to feel every cut, every strip, until blood loss and shock finally killed him. We don't know which version is accurate, but we know what came after, because that part multiple sources agree on. After Valerian died, however it happened, the Persians took his skin, And they turned it into a trophy. They stuffed it, filled it with straw to maintain the shape of a human body. Arms, legs, torso, head, everything intact, creating a grotesque mannequin of the dead emperor. Then they dyed it, red, crimson, the color of Rome, the color of imperial power, the color of blood, and they hung it in a temple, in the Persian city of Bishapur, where everyone could see it, where it would remain, not for years, not for decades, for 3 centuries. Multiple ancient sources confirm this. Roman writers mention it. Persian inscriptions celebrate it. This isn't myth. This isn't propaganda. This actually happened. The skin of a Roman emperor, hanging from a temple ceiling, like a banner, like a flag, like a hunting trophy mounted on a wall. And it stayed there for 300 years. Think about that timeline. Valerian died around 260 AD. His skin was still hanging in that temple in the 400s AD. Generations came and went. Empires rose and fell. Entire dynasties lived and died. And that crimson figure was still there, still on display. Roman diplomats visiting Persia decades later saw it. They wrote about it, sent reports back to Rome, described seeing the preserved skin of their emperor hanging in an enemy temple, still recognizable, still identifiable. One account from nearly 100 years after Valerian's death describes Roman envoys visiting Bishapur, entering the temple, looking up, and seeing him. That red shape dangling above, the unmistakable form of a human body, hollow, empty, but preserved. They knew who it was. Everyone knew who it was. The Persians made sure everyone knew. It was Emperor Valerian, the man who marched into Persia with 70,000 soldiers, the man who never came home, the man whose skin became Persia's greatest trophy. The sources say it hung there for 300 years until the temple eventually crumbled or was destroyed. What happened to the skin after that? We don't know. Maybe it finally decayed. Maybe it was buried. Maybe it was taken as a relic when Persia fell. But for 3 centuries, it was there. A permanent reminder, a warning, a message. This is what happens when you challenge Persia. This is what happens to your emperors. This is what happens to your gods. Here's what makes this story even darker. Rome tried to pretend it never happened. Valerian's son, Gallienus, became emperor after his father's capture. He could have sent a rescue mission, could have tried to ransom him, could have launched a full invasion of Persia to get him back. He did nothing. He abandoned his father to die in Persian captivity. And then, he tried to erase him. Gallienus ordered Valerian's name removed from many official records, his statues taken down, his achievements minimized. Not quite damnatio memoriae, the complete erasure from history, but close. Why? Because Valerian's capture was the ultimate Roman shame. Emperors don't get captured. Gods don't become prisoners. The very existence of a Roman emperor as a Persian trophy undermined everything Rome claimed to be. So they buried it, stopped talking about it, destroyed evidence, made it a secret. For centuries, Valerian became Rome's darkest shame. The emperor they didn't want anyone to remember, the failure they tried to hide. Meanwhile, Persia celebrated. They wrote about it on monuments, carved it into stone inscriptions, told the story for generations. The day they captured a Roman emperor, the day they broke a god, the day they proved Rome wasn't invincible. 2 empires, same event, completely opposite reactions. One tried to forget, one made sure nobody could. So what really happened to Emperor Valerian? How did he actually die? The truth is, We'll never know for certain. The accounts are too contradictory. Rome destroyed too much evidence. Persia embellished too much propaganda. 2,000 years have buried the real story. Maybe he was used as a footstool for years until he died of age and humiliation. Maybe he was executed with molten gold in a brutal symbolic act. Maybe he was flayed alive in the most horrific death imaginable. Or maybe it was all three in sequence. Footstool for years, then gold execution, then flaying of the corpse. We know he was captured. We know he never returned. We know his skin hung in a Persian temple for 300 years. And we know Rome tried to erase him from history because his fate was too shameful to acknowledge. Valerian's story is a reminder that power is temporary, that empires fall, that even gods can be captured, and that sometimes the cruelest thing you can do to an enemy isn't killing them quickly. It's making them live in shame, and then making sure everyone remembers it forever. An emperor marched into Persia. He became a decoration, and his skin hung there for 3 centuries while Rome pretended he never existed. That's the mystery of Emperor Valerian, the man who vanished and became a Persian trophy. If this story haunts you like it haunts me, subscribe. More dark history where the powerful fall and the truth gets buried. I'll see you in the next one.